Morning, everybody. My name is Sergeant Sean Mazzola with the Public Affairs Division of the St. Louis Police Department. With me today is Major Janice Bachstrush and Lieutenant Billy March of the Force Investigations Unit.
Good morning. This morning at about 8:30 a.m., SWAT responded to the 8400 block of South Broadway to execute a search warrant relative to an ongoing investigation. Following their protocol, they spent up to 10 to 15 minutes attempting to call individuals who were occupying that building to come out and surrender to police. Every person that was occupying that building exited the residence, and peacefully and cooperatively. They ended up finding out that there was still one person who is the target of the residence, target of the search warrant, still inside the residence. Upon encountering that individual, they ordered him to come out with his hands up from the location he was at. He announced that he had a firearm. Officer again made an announcement, and at that point the officer discharged his weapon in fear of his life, and the person was struck. He did die at the scene today. The officer is a 32-year-old police officer with 9 years of service. No officers were injured during this incident, and the investigation is continuing into the crimes that he was wanted for.
Can't you understand that this was the person who they were after when they got here, or?
Yes, the target of the search warrant is the only individual who remained inside the house.
Can you explain
And how did that transpire? Did he not come out? Did they go in after him, or could you kind of
Yes,
do that?
so I'll take you through that. What happened was they arrived here and they called everyone who was occupying the building to come outside. At that point, everyone besides the target of the search warrant exited the residence and surrendered to police. The target remained inside. Upon entry of the house, they encountered the target of the search warrant. They asked him to come out, put his hands up from the location that he was at. He announced that he had a firearm. So we're talking about that individual knew the police were here because they had been calling out for over 15 minutes outside the house and then inside the house before they located him. Okay, so it's not as if he didn't know they were the police and they were there. And every single other person, which multiple people were inside this building, came out of the house. So at that point, he was armed with a firearm. The officer gave him orders, and then the officer discharged his weapon, striking the suspect, who died at the scene.
So they came face to face inside the house then?
Yes.
Okay, gotcha.
any details about the search warrant or what the investigation is all about?
Right now, we know that the investigation is in regards to narcotics and weapons.
Any,
Narcotics.
any details about the man that has died, age or any other details?
He is approximately 46-year-old male.
How long have you guys been investigating this specific target?
I can't get into that. I haven't gotten that far into the investigation. Those are officers that obviously they were investigating it long enough to get a judge to sign a search warrant, correct? So that's what I know.
We see
Yeah,
three
this is-
people detained and go into the cars. Any details about those three detained?
There are people that are detained here that either are a part of the investigation or are currently wanted.
The officer who did the shooting, is that a SWAT team member or a?
SWAT team members. SWAT made the entry.
So just one officer shot?
Just one officer shot.
Okay. Can you speak to just this? These are the kind of things that you guys are running into, trying to enforce laws out here, and this is what you all sometimes come up against, right? This is part of the job, unfortunately.
Unfortunately, it is. I mean, SWAT officers are here. They do everything humanly possible to preserve life. That is their job. So SWAT is here as a trained professional to get people to cooperate and surrender. That's why we come with SWAT and a force and we call them out. Our job originally is to call them out. We want a peaceful resolution. We want it to be known that they're here and that they're trained and that they're ready, but they are wanting you to surrender peacefully. That is, life preservation is always SWAT's #1 priority. So they thought everyone was out, but when they entered, they realized the target is still inside the residence and he was non-cooperative and armed.
One more question.
Did you say he was wanted on narcotics and weapons?
I'm not saying he's wanted. The search warrant was for narcotics and weapons violations. the investigation of narcotics and weapons
You
violations.
were the target. Okay.
I'm assuming multiple people live there, that's why they all came out. Does that ever concern you about a situation like this when multiple people are in the home? Obviously they're outside, but does that concern
That's
you?
part of the reason why we call people out. If you're not involved in it, or you are but you want to cooperate, we call you out. Our job here is to help make it where no one gets hurt. That is our mission. We're here to enforce laws, but safely, and as safe as possible.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
I appreciate it.